Hi, we are Homo sapiens. What do you personally feel about the character Kabuliwala? I feel his sense of loss. I feel the same. Hi, we are Homo sapiens. I am Alpha from planet Earth and he is Beta from the parallel Earth. Today we're talking about a short story, Kabuliwala, by Rabindranath Tagore. Kabuliwala means a man from Kabul, capital city of Afghanistan. Narrator of the story is a man, a novelist, we gather by his own description of being occupied with writing the 17th chapter of his novel. He tells us his 5-year-old daughter, Minnie, bothers him in the middle of his writing, asking him various childlike questions. She is an incessant talker, as children usually are. He sends her off to play outside and goes back to his writing. A while later, he hears his daughter calling, Kabuliwala, Kabuliwala, addressing a man who is wearing loose, soiled clothes with a turban and a bag on his back. As Minnie calls this man, the narrator thinks the man will come to his home and he won't be able to finish his 17th chapter. When Kabuliwala listens to Minnie's calls, he turns and approaches, to which Minnie is frightened and runs to her mother. Here we have to understand little Minnie didn't know the man personally. She just called him Kabuliwala because of his attire. Presumably, people around Minnie called men with such attire that way. Minnie is frightened because she thinks there are 2 or 3 children like her inside Kabuliwala's bag. She thinks he is a child kidnapper. Narrator wants to get back to his writing, so in order to dismiss Kabuliwala quickly, he makes a few purchases of dry fruits. Kabuliwala is a peddler of dry fruits. They have little exchange about the conflict in Afghanistan involving Russians, English and Afghans. This gives us an idea that the story takes place about a century ago. As Kabuliwala is about to leave, he asks, "Where's the little girl?" And the narrator tells us, just to get rid of Minnie's fear of this man, he asks her to come out. Minnie comes out and Kabuliwala offers her a few nuts. But Minnie is still afraid and clings to her father. Narrator mentions that this is their first meeting, 5-year-old Minnie being very timid and afraid of this man, a peddler of nuts and raisins. Narrator tells us that a few mornings later he finds his daughter Minnie sitting on a chair talking to Kabuliwala, who is sitting by her legs. Little corner of Minnie's sari is already stuffed with almonds and raisins, gifted by him. Narrator pays Kabuliwala a silver coin of 8 anna for this. Later on, we understand Kabuliwala gives the same coin back to Minnie, for which her mother is chiding her. But the narrator rescues the child and learns that this is not their second visit. In fact, Minnie and Kabuliwala are being friends for a long time now. We understand that Kabuliwala has bribed little Minnie with nuts and raisins to become his friend, and now they have developed a camaraderie between them. Minnie would ask Kabuliwala, "What have you got in your bag?" And he would answer, "An elephant." And they would both laugh. Kabuliwala would ask Minnie, "When are you going to your father-in-law's house?" Narrator informs us that it is a norm in Bengali families to tell their young daughters about their eventual departure to their father-in-law's house. But being modern, they have not told Minnie about this. So Minnie is unaware of the context of father-in-law's house, but she is not the one to remain quiet. She in turn asks Kabuliwala, "When are you going to your father-in-law's house?" Here the narrator gives us a little context that amongst the class of Kabuliwala, the words father-in-law's house has a double meaning. It is a euphemism for jail. Every year end, in month of January, Kabuliwala returns to his home back to Afghanistan, and so he is busy collecting debts from door to door. One chilly morning, narrator witnesses Kabuliwala being taken away by 2 policemen. Narrator understands that one of the debtors owes Rahman, that is the name of Kabuliwala, some money but refuses any debt. So in the quarrel that ensues, Rahman injures the man with a knife. Being taken away by police, Rahman is cursing the man, but as soon as he hears Minnie calling his name, he calms down and smiles at Minnie. Rahman has no bag on his back, so Minnie can't ask the question about the content of the bag. So instead she asks him another question, "Are you going to your father-in-law's house?" To which Rahman smiles and says, "That is exactly where I am going." Rahman is imprisoned on charges of murderous assault for 8 years. And the narrator tells us within those 8 years, Minnie has grown up and gradually has forgotten her friend. Today, Minnie is about to get married. narrator's household is busy with preparation of the wedding. Presumably, Minnie is 13 years old, but as we understand, the story happens a century ago, when early marriages of girls were a norm. As the household is busy with preparation, suddenly Kabuliwala appears on the doorstep. Narrator inquires when he came, and Rahman tells he was released from prison last evening, to which the narrator feels a little timid because he tells us he has never interacted with someone who is convicted of harming a fellow human. Narrator wants to quickly get rid of Rahman. He tells Rahman there is a ceremony in the house and he cannot be attended to. Kabuliwala understands the situation and is about to leave, but turns back and requests, "Can I at least see the little one?" Kabuliwala had assumed Minnie is still that little girl and she would come out and they would engage in their old friendly exchanges. He even brings almonds and raisins wrapped in a paper for Minnie, as he used to in the past. Narrator tells Kabuliwala that there is a ceremony in the house and he won't be able to see Minnie. Kabuliwala, being disappointed, says good morning to the narrator and leaves. Narrator feels sorry and is thinking of calling him back, but before he could do that, Kabuliwala returns and comes closer to narrator and hands over the nuts and raisins and asks the narrator to give it to little Minnie. Narrator takes those nuts and is about to pay Kabuliwala, but he insists it's a gift and just to keep him in their memories. He tells the narrator, "You have a little girl. I too have a little girl back in Afghanistan. I think of my daughter and bring nuts to your child, not to make profit for myself." Kabuliwala takes out a folded dirty paper from his pocket, unfolds it carefully on the table. It has an impression of a little hand. Not a photo, not a drawing, just an impression of an ink-smeared hand, small hand, laid on a flat paper. We understand Kabuliwala carries this little hand impression of his own daughter next to his heart, as he's always away from her, peddling nuts years after years. Narrator is flooded with tears. He forgets Kabuliwala is just a poor peddler of nuts. At that moment, the narrator feels the pain of Kabuliwala as a father bearing a loss of little child to time, as he himself will lose his Minnie after her marriage. He immediately sends for Minnie to come out. Minnie, donned in a young bride's attire, comes out and stands modestly before her father. Kabuliwala sees Minnie and realizes that he cannot revive their old camaraderie, that Minnie has grown up. He finally asks Minnie, "Are you going to your father-in-law's house?" By now, Minnie understands the meaning of these words and she remains quiet. After Minnie leaves, Kabuliwala sighs, sits down and realizes that his own daughter back home might have also grown up, and that he has lost friendship with his own daughter, and that he has to revive friendship with his own daughter from the start. Narrator gives him a currency note and tells him to go back to Kabul and greet his daughter, and that their happiness together is the blessing for many. A poor Afghan man, peddler of dry fruits, befriends a little Bengali girl just because he misses his own daughter of the same age back in Afghanistan. He gets imprisoned because of some minor incident. 8 years pass by. Within those years, little Bengali girl forgets Afghan man, as children usually do. Today, the girl is about to be married and the Afghan pays a visit to their house, insists on seeing the girl, and the narrator, who is the father of the girl, understands the situation and lets the man see his daughter. Story ends with this old peddler of dry fruits realizing the loss of a friendship with a child to time, not just loss of friendship with the Bengali girl but also with his own daughter. We sympathize with Kabuliwala. All of us can understand how it is to lose a dear friend to time. As is the nature of human bonding, with time they fade away. And the one who keeps friendship alive in one's heart suffers the most at the loss of friendship with time. Poignancy of this story is a father's realization that he has lost his child to time, that he has not witnessed his child growing up. It's a short story, a poignant story, a human story that will never go out of fashion in any era. We like this story. That's all for now. Bye. Do you plan to have children in future? Maybe.